Hi, my name is Jesslyn Hernandez, and this is my presentation, Honduras, Femicide and the Duality of Information and Communication Technology. A brief history. Honduras is the second largest country in Central America, but also one of the poorest. It shares a southern border with Nicaragua and a western coast has access to the Pacific Ocean while sharing a border with El Salvador. To the northern side, Honduras shares a border with Guatemala and has a large eastern coastline facing the Caribbean Sea. Honduras first gained independence from Spain in 1821 and today is recognized as a republic with a traditional liberal conservative political party structure. For the past century, the military has played a central role in Honduran politics and everyday life. Honduras has been described as a banana republic due to its economic dependency on its agricultural industry known for producing coffee beans and bananas. This economic structure has left Honduras vulnerable. The country plays an interesting role in global politics and economic activity. Considerably the most underdeveloped country in Latin America, it has been exploited for its strategic geographic location to its neighboring countries, gaining major interest from the United States military. In 1983, the United States started building airstrips, bases, and even went on to develop a modern, full-working port in order to support the anti-communist Contras in the Nicaraguan Civil War. Honduras' Banana Republic faced widespread devastation after Hurricane Mitch made landfall in 1998. Almost 70% of crops were destroyed and nearly 80% of infrastructure, including roads and bridges, were unusable. The natural disaster resulted in the deaths of 5,600 people and 12,000 more were injured. In the end, Mitch caused approximately $2 billion in damages. Honduras faced international backlash in 2009 after its coup d'etat stripped power from the sitting president and transitioned it to the congressional leader. This resulted in many countries withdrawing support and aid from the country, symbolizing their refusal to accept the de facto government as legitimate. Honduras was suspended from the Office of Americas. The European Union and other countries withdrew their ambassadors, and the U.S. and World Bank suspended some aid. After refusing to reinstate the prior president, many countries continue to refuse to accept the de facto government. Despite this effort, the United States chose to recognize the outcome of the preceding election and continue to supply aid into Honduras, but dramatically reducing the amounts given in recent years. Violence is very prominent in Honduras, the murder rates there being one of the highest in the world. The country is also facing an HIV/AIDS epidemic that is perpetuated by its large sex industry. Honduras has also proved to be a strategic location for cartels, as it lies in a direct transport route for narcotics moving northward. It is estimated that 50% of the police force is corrupted by drug gangs. In turn, these misaligned powers only enable violence. Those looking to expose such negligent and illegal behavior often find themselves targeted and commonly killed, thus making Honduras one of the most dangerous places for activists and journalists. In 2017, the United Nations Refugee Agency recorded that over 174,000 people had fled the country. One of the major factors in the widespread violence is impunity, or crimes going unpunished. Femicide. What is femicide? Femicide is a term that represents the murdering of females for the sole reason that they are female. The use of the term gained popularity in the late 1970s as the feminist movement fought to shed light on the issue. The intention by separating a specific gender from the overall homicide record was to showcase the common and often violent deaths women and girls around the world were facing. Femicide works to not only expose the murders of females but also the torture, mutilation, and other forms of violence they face. Femicide in Latin America. The United Nations has fallen short in providing an accurate representation of femicide around the world. A major factor stems from the fact that the most homicides are not disaggregated by gender, resulting in many female deaths going on unaccounted for. Latin America has paid special attention and focus to femicide, especially since the Juarez murders in the 1990s. This event involved the murder of an unprecedented amount of women in Juarez, Mexico, many showing signs of torture. The small arms survey worked to offer a concise examination of lethal forms of violence against women. drawing on the disaggregated data of femicides produced for the Global Burden of Armed Violence of 2011. This study produced the top 25 countries in which femicide occurred, and out of those 25, 12 resided in Latin America. Latin America experiences some of the highest rates of femicide, which are perpetuated by impunity. 90% of gender-related killings go unprosecuted. Impunity is a major factor in femicide, as those who commit crimes go on to repeat their crimes again, as no consequences are ever realized. Cultural factors that undermine or devalue women in society show influence. In Honduras, femicide is affecting a large portion of its population. One woman is murdered every 16 hours, a statistic that represents the reality of femicide in Honduras. There are different actors that are working to combat femicide and protect women. Local actors include human rights activists and local NGOs working to spread awareness of femicide in Honduras, along with the universities that are conducting research. Yet a discouraging factor is the level of violence that activists face within the country. Outspoken human rights defenders are often targeted by state and non-state actors. The government and its leaders have been the target of international criticism for their handling of female violence. In an attempt to show its concern on the issue, the state has created new investigative units and even amended its criminal code in April 2013, so it specifically included the offense of femicide and stated that it was punishable by 30 to 40 years imprisonment. Despite such efforts, people remain widely doubtful of any change. From an international perspective, there have been several transnational actors that have attempted to take on the issue of femicide. The United Nations Women Organization has made efforts in the Latin American region to reduce the commonality of femicide, thus supporting countries that were instating the model protocol that works to properly prosecute those committing violent offenses against women. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights works closely with Honduras government and numerous organizations and activists to gain accurate understanding into the issues such as femicide that the country is facing. After the visit in August 2018, they reported the following on the country. Serious challenges continue to face democratic institutions and the rule of law. Widespread structural impunity and corruption have eroded trust in public institutions. The recent process to elect a new public prosecutor revealed the weaknesses of current standards and the need to better regulate these. Another matter of concern is a lack of balance between the public powers that would allow the rule of law to function optimally. Not looking very Information communication technologies have proven to be an intriguing factor in fighting the end of violence against women. Yet due to its complex nature, it has ultimately aided in sustaining and extending the war on women. As of 2018, there were no restrictions on internet usage in Honduras, as the right of free speech is constitutionally backed. There are libraries throughout the country that state and NGO fund that provide internet. In addition, major cities around Honduras participate in state-funded initiatives known as the Internet para el Pueblo, or Internet for the Town. This program provides Wi-Fi access in central parks and plazas. Despite these initiatives, less than a quarter of the population are internet users. ICTs and social movements. ICTs have been used in Honduras historically to help activists and sustain social movements. These technologies are proving invaluable in documenting and educating the global public about femicide. The United Nations runs the Global Database on Violence Against Women, which provides data and reports the prevalence of different forms of violence against women. Social media has also proved to be a helpful tool in organizing activist efforts. Yet ICTs have their pitfalls. Activists face smear campaigns from resource-rich actors every day. Such activities aren't limited to discrediting its targets, but also often result in the death of such activists. One of the most notable cases was the murder of indigenous and environmental activist and co-founder of the Council of Popular Indigenous Organizations of Honduras, Berta Cáceres. Her murder caught international attention as one of the few cases that resulted in investigation. Ultimately, 9 people were arrested for her murder, but as of 2018, the Honduras Supreme Court suspended indefinitely the trial of 8 men accused of her murder. Prior to her death, she received dozens of death threats that were never investigated by officials. The same smear campaigns that ran use new technology. ICTs function as weapons to commit cybercrimes against women. Such activities involve cyberstalking and harassment. The internet and other social media sites have been used as tools to support the widespread abuse of women and girls. Such platforms unknowingly host the buying and selling of females for human and sex trafficking. Femicide is not an issue unique to Honduras nor to Latin America, but is a greater problem that plagues the global community. Information and communication technology has been proven to be both helpful and hindering in the progress of protecting women and making larger cultural shifts. Only the future will show if ICT's positive impact in the fight to end violence against women will outweigh the negative. If you are interested in learning more about femicide, I recommend you visit the United Nations Women Global Database on Violence Against Women to learn more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.